two products with this next demo. One is the Rear 8s, which replaces the Rear 3s. That is a 4-channel system. So it replaces the RS3S, which was a 2-channel system. So already a big upgrade there. Launches in July for $699. And this particular product, it has a high frequency tweeter for the voice. So you can hear some voice in this next scene. And a bass reflex woofer for mid-range to low-end sound. All in one. And a bass reflex port, so it gives you a bunch of sound pressure with those units as well. We also have our apartment sub, so the Bravia Theatre Sub 7. This can function in 2 directions. So you have this direction here, where the fabric is. There's a 130mm driver there, and that's connected to a bass reflex port. So flexible 2-way position. So this launches in July in 2025 for $499. As you can see here, that sub 130mm driver and bass reflex port allows you to position it in both ways. So we've got it side on here, but it can also be facing towards you. So if you have limited amounts of space, bam, away you go, and you've got your sub there. Bravia Theatre Bar 8, the Rear 8s, and our new subwoofer, the Sub 7. Moving along to some all-in-one systems, we have a brand new Bravia Theatre Bar 6. This comes with the subwoofer, has the soundbar there. It's a 3.1.2 channel system. What that means is 3 front-firing speakers, so left, right, and a dedicated center channel. We have a upward-firing vertical channel to give nice surround sound without the need of any rears. And we also have a dual-firing left and right sub, so nice sound pressure that'll produce that as well. Now that sub is fully wireless, just needs to be plugged in. It wirelessly communicates to the bar. Comes with DTS-X and Dolby Atmos as standard. New for this year is the Voice Zoom 3 feature, which we'll show you in a second as well. Now that launches in July, $899 pricing, SRP. With this particular unit, we actually utilize a bit of trickle-down technology. So the upward firing speakers here, they come from Bravia Theatre Bar 8, which is one of our premium sound systems. We also have, as mentioned, the 3 front-firing dedicated center channel. And we've also got a huge sub with this system. So the bass reflex port really projects a lot of that low frequency sound forward. One of my favorite scenes from Andor, as you can tell, heaps of bass, really nice vertical height sound, and that is one of our entry level units. So to get that amount of volume and surround sound from that, I think it's going to be a very successful unit for us this year, Bravia Theatre Bar 6. Continuing on that theme of trickle-down technology, Voice Zoom 3 actually comes with the Bravia Theatre Bar 6. So Voice Zoom 3 used to be Bravia 7 specific with our XR technology. Now that that's come down to the Bravia 5, both this bar and this TV allow us to have Voice Zoom 3. Now Voice Zoom 3 essentially enables us to change the voice whilst keeping everything else constant. So if you're watching the cricket and you don't want the commentary, you can turn it right down while still hearing the ball get hit and the crowd sounds. But if you're watching the football, maybe you just want to hear the commentary, you can really turn that up and amp that up individually. Same with the news. Because it's done at a processor level, it doesn't matter what you're watching, Voice Zoom 3 will basically work. You can change it as you're watching content. So Tim's going to demonstrate that. We've just got some Optus Sport open. We'll start it at minimum and we'll turn it up and down as we see the content.
First time City put a number of quality passes together. It's a wicked cross from Nunez, and it's a worry for that Bournemouth defence. You know, any striker, certainly Erling Haaland, you have to pick him up. He cannot be in space in between your defenders. Tyler Adams bewildered, Stuart Atwell adamant. Well, Tyler Adams is very close to the City player.
The difference between the max level, which is 5, and then -5. So we really can play around with that, get the most out of the content, depending on what content you want that voice channel to be altered from. So the cool thing here is obviously that you can change it on the fly very easily in our quick settings menu, and just make it easier to hear, because everyone, as we get older, we need that voice zoom up a little higher. or at least I find I do. So that is now a trickle down feature for our Bravia Theatre Bar 6 and the Bravia 5 as well. Moving to another all-in-one system, this is the 1000 watt Bravia Theatre System 6. Now this particular unit it's just so powerful, like it's insane. So really good value because you get everything in the box. Your rear speakers are powered from a single point, so this wireless receiver powers the rears, so you don't need two power cables, just one. And as I said, DTSX, Dolby Atmos as standard, Voice 3 comes to this unit. We have a July launch at $1,200. And very similar setup. So you've got the 3 front firing speakers, but this time you now have left and right high frequency tweeters for voice, along with a huge 200mm driver with a sub. Massive bass reflex. So you're going to hear that in the next demo. And that all connects through. This is the brains of the unit, so your HDMI actually connects into the sub, and then a cable connects your soundbar. With the rears, as I mentioned, you have that center channel, or the center connecting point that wirelessly connects to the system, and then you're running one cable to that point. It's hard to talk about our soundbars without talking about Bravia Connect App. Now the Bravia Connect App is available on both Android and iOS. It's an app that you don't need to use, but it's just there to make your life a little bit easier when connecting our products. So with the Bravia Connect app, you've got your whatever soundbars that you've connected up. So let's say you've bought a Bravia Theatre Bar 8, you turn it on, you bring your phone close to it, it connects up, sends all the Wi-Fi info, updates it as need be, and it'll ask you to do certain things. So we were talking about acoustic center sync before. You want to use the TV sound with your speakers on, so basically this has really good sound on the screen. We actually want to utilize that with the bar, so that'll ask us to set that up. And it'll also ask us to set up our rear speakers along with the sub, and that's all now connected. So really, step by step, one-time setup of your product. And you're probably thinking that's not really different to how anything else works in the market, but here is our special sauce. It'll ask you to remove the case from your phone, be it iOS or Android, and you use the microphone in your phone as a calibration point. So wherever you happen to be in the room, it'll play all the test sounds from the TV sound, soundbar, subs, and rears, and calibrate everything for you. So where you're sitting, where you are in the room, and it'll calibrate the room as well. So typically this is very different to how it's usually done. Generally, the soundbar itself has a microphone and it'll try to bounce sound around the room and back to that microphone, but that doesn't really tell you anything about where you're sitting in the room or what the room looks like. So it's a completely different calibration process, and we feel it gives you the best of all worlds. Like studio level calibration, but in a Sony Soundbar product.